So hello, you're very welcome to the Irish Independence League of Ireland preview. It's the last one before the international break, and what an international break it is. But for everyone involved in the league, it is still important business to head off into wherever they're going to do over the next couple of weeks in the Premier Division squads in good health. Aidan Fitzmaurice is with me today. We've got 4 games on Friday, 1 on Saturday. I know Joey O'Brien at Shelbourne was very happy to have the extra day after the busy schedule they had. It's kind of hard to know where to start because we've got the nature of the league is there's sort of talking points at both ends of the table. Maybe think about Dalymount Park on Friday because it's the TV game. I mean, I guess Bohs and Dundalk, you would have to say, I know that we're not quite one series of games in because it's just the nature of where the break comes in. But probably 2 of the surprise packages of the season, 2 teams that would be really happy with how they've started the campaign. Yeah,
I suppose predictions for both of them, Bohs were expected to improve on last year, not necessarily really challenge or win the title. And Dundalk, I think the aim would have been just to stay up, and with the upheaval at the club over that uncertainty behind the scenes, the pitch and everything else going on, I think Dundalk were hoping for just being a bit boring and stable and everything else, and they've got that. They've been really, really good. I think one of the strengths for Dundalk is they're getting goals from everywhere. They're not relying on Danny Munham was probably the marquee signing, but they're not relying on him from goals. They're getting them from Arubi. Owen Kenny got a couple last week. They're getting goals from everywhere. So Dundalk, even though if you asked a Dundalk fan over Christmas New Year period where the club going, they were quite fearful. I think they're very happy with how the season started. Players are betting in. I was worried how players like Dean and players like that would cope with the step up to the Premier Division level. They've done really well. Yeah,
I saw Bohs on Monday, and it's the first time I'd seen them in the flesh since the opening game of the season. And I mean, they just looked like a hard team to play against. Like 6 clean sheets in 7. When you consider like the 2 goals they conceded came in stoppage time against Shamrock Rovers. Now I know against Galway last week they gave up a couple of chances like at points in that game, and that was a little bit of a struggle at home. And I guess the thing about having a little bit of a target on your head now is that sort of people are maybe coming to Dalymount Park and saying, okay, how can we frustrate them in some way? But what strikes me about them is with Todd and Hickey and even Devoy's work rate in midfield, they just don't look like a pleasant team to play against, which is something that may not have been said about them in the recent past.
No, I think there's a different attitude in the team this year. There's a real core, a real strength. A lot of that is down to the 2 centre halves, Todd and Hickey. They're really, and Hickey underlined his value, came up with the goal. I've seen Galway away to Bohs, Shells and Pats now in a couple of weeks, and all games very much the same. Galway, very hard to break down. And the fact that the Bohs did it and got the win. I live in a Bohs area, it's saturated with Bohs fans. I met 3 Bohs fans in the wake of that game who all said the same phrase more or less. Last year Bohs don't win that game, it's 0-0 or they lose. That's the difference between winning a title and it's having not playing particularly well. Galway really probably the better team in the second half. It's getting over the line with Shamrock. That's why Shamrock Rovers have 5 leagues in 6 years.
Yeah.
It's not always playing well, but winning. Shamrock Rovers haven't always played well, they've won. And Bohs, they played better this season, but they beat Galway.
So winning a title, is this the streets of Cabra? Are people talking about winning league titles now?
No. That's a little bit premature. I think they really expect Shamrock Rovers to, with the squad they have. If you look at the squads, Bohs are, I think they're happy with the squad and they can mix and match. When a couple of weeks ago Power, who had been in the team, missed out. It's not really weak in Mullen. There's been a lot of change due to injury. Douglas James Taylor hasn't played yet and Myers come in for his full last week. Very good. So I think the squad is probably the best in terms of strength and depth, the best squad that Bohs have. There are probably 20 players there available to Alan Reynolds that Bohs manage that Alan or Declan Devine or Keith Long didn't really have in the past. That was a problem with Bohs. If you miss 1 or 2 or 3, they lose Dara Power or they lose Jordan Flores and they're not weakened, and we still haven't seen Douglas James Taylor. So nobody's shouting about winning the league. I think the focus, what Bohs' focus really is the European draw in June and enjoying being back in Europe. But certainly that steal, those clean sheets, that's huge. And that difference between, I've spoken before about performance and result, and that particularly against Galway, that's what win you league. So Bohs do are to go on. I'm not saying they will.
Oh, we're going down that road again now.
But that's what cost Bohs in the 4 drop points too. Particularly Bohs have this insane thing where they're very poor at home to Galway and Waterford. They've dropped a lot of points at home to those 2 teams over the last couple of years. We'll talk about Galway in a minute in terms of their record of Shamrock Rovers. So turning that 0-0 draw into a win, that's how you progress.
Yeah, so let's get to that, because across town you got Shamrock Rovers at home to Galway, and it is strange because I feel like Shamrock Rovers, like they're just going along nicely under the radar, not generating massive talking points in terms of their performances. Haven't started as slowly as in previous years, yet they're not blowing teams away necessarily either. But Galway have been good, and the thing about Galway's fixture schedule in the first round of games is that they've ended up playing their games at home against the teams you would expect to be in the bottom half of the table. But this is their 3rd trip to Dublin. and they've come really close to getting results against Pats and against Bohs, and they've just fell short in the dying seconds. What are we expecting from this game?
If you go by the stats, I looked it up today, there will be one goal in this game. Most games between Galway United and Shamrock Rovers are 0-0, 1-0, 2-1. There's very Galway really have, I don't know if it's an anti-Dublin thing or whatever, they really have a game plan for playing away to the Dublin teams, and certainly Shamrock Rovers fans going into this game, they remember all those hard games, a lot of 0-0s against Galway. Galway really set up well. I think Galway are getting stronger. They've added in the last couple of weeks. Tvardek has come from the fringes to come into the team. He's got a couple of goals. Piero hasn't started yet. I think we'll possibly see Franz start this weekend if he's fit. Alamin Kazim again missed a lot of pre-season, so Galway I think have got better. I don't think Waterford have improved, or Waterford and Sligo haven't improved since the start of the season. I think Galway have, and having Piero in, so John, that's a question for John Caulfield this weekend. A little bit different because Caulfield has a touchline ban, so I think that does changes things a little bit in terms of the approach, and a lot more pressure on his staff to react in game. But Galway, the way they set up, you know what you're going to get with them. You're not going to get goals. I know they scored 4 last week in general.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I know they've played Lomboto and Piero at times the other night, and that's a powerful combination. I should say, by the way, they drew in Tolka Park against Shells at the start of the season. I think you're at that game. So it's actually their 4th trip to Dublin, which is sort of it's a weird schedule that they've had.
They've only got 2 points, but they deserve far more.
Yeah. So I think sometimes going to Tala, it's a question mark, because you know what you're going to get with the Rovers back 3, and if teams are brave, you have to be brave, but do you leave yourself open? And that's a challenge. I kind of wonder with Piero Lombo, what way does he play it? Do you hold something back? I think that's possibly the thing.
But I think the big thing for Rovers is, again, I think the size of their squad. I spoke with Bohemians, but Shamrock Rovers they've had games this year where they've had 4 senior internationals on the bench, and Stephen Bradley really is the manager. He can bring on 2 or 3 players. If it's not going well, if they're struggling, if he starts with, I think Dylan Watts mightn't be fit for this week. I think he's a bit of an injury, so touch and go for Dylan Watts, who's been huge for them this year, so that may change things. That may see Jack Byrne come into the team. I don't know how this is going to go, but I think Steve Bradley has those options on the bench that certainly most other managers don't have.
Yeah, so I think that on Friday the 2 teams who need wins the most are the two home teams in the other games. It's Waterford at home to St Pat's, and it's Derry City at home to Drogheda. I mean, Waterford is a start point because we're coming from Galway, who did score 4 goals on Monday. The flip side of that is Waterford have conceded 9 goals in their last 2 games, and look, we're not in the business of you don't be putting pressure on managers, but equally, John Daly has gone in there to a club that's run out of Fleetwood, an EFL club. That the culture there is patience wouldn't be a virtue, and they've started the season slowly. They haven't won, and there's a little break coming up. I feel like this is a big game for them. Against his former club as well, too.
Against his former club, and it's funny, in the week that they conceded 9, Steve McMullen has been called up to the Northern Under-21s. Quite a lot of players called up for international duty this week, not all with Ireland. St Pat's player out in Moldova, there's various others who are going away, but I think the fact that Waterford have moved for Kevin Long, who has been out of the game for a while and is at the age he hasn't been in the league for a while, I think that shows their concern that that's a little bit of a rescue mission to bring.
John Mahan injured as well too,
and they have changed an awful lot, and that's why I said Galway have brought in Alamin Kazim and they've improved. Waterford haven't improved. Couto has been in and out. I think he was taken off at half time in the previous game. The changes that Waterford have made haven't really made them any better. I would worry about the core there. As I said, there's a core at Bohemians, there's a core at St Pat's that's built from Anang through to Redmond through into your central midfield. I don't see that at Waterford. They're just too weak, and any team that can in any league conceding 9 goals in 2 games really would have to fear for them.
Yeah, no, and look, St Pat's are just happy to keep doing what they're doing. I know it was a draw on Monday at home to Derry City, and maybe halts their momentum a small bit, but speaking to Sean, who was at that game, and it sounded like Pats were the better side, and they similar to Bohs. Like, when you can consider before the Aviva, we were talking about Pats and Bohs being under pressure, or their managers potentially under pressure. Yeah, I mean, Pats just want to go there and sort of hit a team when they're vulnerable and weak.
I think the selection will be interesting. Max Mata, who we've seen in the league before and who's international, hoping to get to the World Cup with New Zealand. They're already there. Ireland aren't, of course, but he's had 3 subs now since he came in. It's probably he'd been out of the game for 6. He hadn't played in a long time. At some stage Stephen Kenny's going to start him, so I've seen him a couple of days. He's changed games. He changed the game at home to Galway. They really were struggling to break Galway down, and Mata, he didn't get an assist, but he was involved in the move that broke down Galway. I think having Max Mata, and when Stephen Kenny finally decides Keane Levy was missing last week, so maybe maybe that. I think that he's been a huge attacking foil for them. I think if he's back fit again, but I think having someone like Max Mata, and again this is a pass without Albazetti and without Power, probably their two key wingers over the last couple of years. So, and without Mason Melia. So if you're St Pat's, it was a little rocky start for St Pat's. I think they scored in the first two, but they're hitting form now. I would fear for Waterford in this game.
Yeah, and Derry, I mean, I can probably speak about Derry because I've seen a lot of Derry this season. They've had a lot of home games, as we know, just because of the restructuring of the second game. I think people are quite happy up there. Some of the players are probably quite happy it's the last game on this artificial pitch, unpopular pitch, before they go to Celtic Park for a while and it gets done. Oh, this is a tricky game now. Draw it at home. I mean, just like you talk about Waterford, I was listening to you talking about Waterford there, and there's a little bit of that about Derry too, and that have their signings really improved them? Or I would nearly say with Derry, it just doesn't look like their recruitment has been massively strategic. It's been a little bit splash and dash. And even listening to Tiernan Lynch last week speaking about how, well, some players we've brought in didn't have pre-season. They've only played 60 minutes, so they can only play 60 minutes. And you're just thinking, God, we were thinking they were going to be challenging for a title, and yet the manager is ultimately admitting that the squad isn't ready. So you're playing Drogheda at home, who are having, they sort of stemmed the tide a little bit against Shamrock Rovers, but they have a reasonably good record actually against Derry in recent years in certain games. I just feel like this is a game where Tiernan Lynch just has to win by whatever means possible. Yeah,
and you would worry, is that drive there? And you talked about recruitment. I mean, last year Derry started to see the plan really was experience, so they went for the likes of White and Winchester and Shane Ferguson and players like that, older experienced players. A lot of them ex-internationals, didn't really work well. A lot of them didn't really see out the season. They are missing Liam Boyce. I think he's a potentially a player for them, and we don't know when he's back. They're really missing Brian Maher. I think the commanding presence that Brian Maher would have had. They've used two keepers now already in Beach. The clips I've seen hasn't made a huge impression.
Yeah, he's done okay. I think he's done okay.
It is difficult, and he's coming into a pressure position. He's coming in from abroad. He doesn't know the league. I think he signed on a Thursday, made his debut on a Friday. So I will give him credit for that. But I think this is where Derry, because Derry have all the tools they needed to succeed this year, and they set their targets out. The owner, the manager, everyone said win the league.
Do they have all the tools though? I mean, that's the question.
Well, in terms of what they would have had, they have a training base, access to players. They had the finances to sign James Clark, the finances to pay a transfer fee for Patrick McLean, to bring in James McLean. They had those the financial tools, so which a lot of clubs don't have. A lot of clubs don't have the finances or the training base or the accommodation options, for instance, which is huge. We've spoken this on this show before, but it wasn't finding a accommodation for James Clark wasn't a deal breaker for Derry. They were able to find accommodation for James Clark. I think they had a lot of the tools, and they haven't impressed. They've wasted.
You just can't accommodate them all on the pitch. This seems to be the slight issue.
But I see the way they play. I see the way Bows play. I see the way Pats play. I see the way Shamrock Rovers play. I don't see a pattern in play with Derry City, and I think that's the problem. They need to find that. And when they've had that advantage of having all those home games, they haven't, in terms of points, they haven't made advantage. So I think Tiernan just has to win this game by any circumstances. And we see Mickey Duffy, they're huge. Derry are too reliant on Mickey Duffy, if you ask me. I think if anything happens they're missing Brian Maher. If Mickey Duffy was there for 2 months, I think Derry take a huge drop, because he leads on and off the field. Yeah, and he was substituted on Monday too, so it was just all a little bit random. Saturday then, the last game in the Premier Division before the break, Sligo Rovers against Shelbourne. Sligo Rovers again, probably Waterford have done them a favour by starting worse. They did beat Drogheda United at home, which was a big win. And I suppose, listen to some of the reports, it sounded like they actually played okay in Dundalk, and might have been a little bit unfortunate. It was a bad decision that went against them. So, I don't know, maybe there's a few little signs of improvement there, but they're against the Shelbourne team, who I think will benefit from the break. They look tired towards the end of the game against Bows, but we still know they have a good squad. Sligo Rovers will look at the Shells bus and go, there's Jack Henry Francis, there's Ellis Chapman, can barely get a game for them. We'd love them here, and that probably reflects the difference between the personnel. Yeah, I saw John Russell's comments after the Dundalk game, and he'd been very critical of his players before, both their approach and their attitude. He seemed to feel they delivered that against Dundalk, and it was really a refereeing decision that cost them. So maybe they're improving a little bit. Quite a few new players there as well. Shelbourne, I think the big problem is the squad. Look, they're missing half their defence. Casey and Paddy Barrett, missing Sam Bone as well. Bone might be back for this weekend, so that would add to them. But Shells have those attacking options. We haven't seen Meatbone in a couple of weeks. He has hamstring injury. Jack Henry Francis has been in and out. They have that ability to mix and match. They have a squad to change Monday to Friday, particularly midfield, but that back line is just very, very stretched. So I think Shells really will want to get to the international break and then assess particularly where Barrett and Paddy Barrett and Oran Casey are. I think if Sam Bone is back and and I suppose regroup and then come back strong.
Yeah, and I think Barrett's closer than Casey. That seems to be the vibe. But yeah, no, I think there'll be a few managers happy for the break. One or two probably don't want their momentum to be halted. But yeah, I think maybe they'll enjoy the watching brief, a little break out of the spotlight when everyone's watching Prague next week. And we obviously will be back here. We'll have our usual review on Friday after Friday's games, and then a little bit of a hiatus for international matters, and we'll be back with you here on the Irish Independent League of Ireland show in a couple of weeks.